I'm going to start really easy. Could you give me your name and city of residence?
I am Ronald Hughes, Jr., Muncie, Indiana, and I live on the north side of town, in Meadowview Trailer Park.
Okay. Did you grow up here in Muncie?
Yes, actually, I was born in Muncie, 1960, May 28th. Went to the schools up to the 5th grade, then we moved out in Selma. Went to Wapahani, graduated Wapahani in 1978.
Can you tell me a little bit about what your parents did?
My dad, he would actually worked for Marsh Supermarkets, and when he retired, he was a supervisor of all the village pantries in the surrounding area here in Muncie. He had like 40 years with Marsh's. Then my mom, she just worked for local doctor offices, insurance, paperwork, stuff like that. They're both retired and still living. I think my dad's 81, my mom's 75, so they like going to the casinos, spending my inheritance, so, but that's okay, it keeps them going.
So did you have any family members at all who worked for BorgWarner?
Cousins, Phil Hughes, Doug Hughes, their dad, Darrell Hughes. About it for relatives that I can think of, that I know of, off the top of my head.
So do you think, were you aware of BorgWarner in the community when you were a child or when you were younger?
No, I didn't even dream of working at a factory. My dad, you don't want to work at a factory, you don't want to work at a factory, but yeah, I do.
So what made you decide that you wanted to work?
After I got out of the Marine Corps, I just started applying for places. I actually thought I was going to work for the post office, but they had a hiring freeze, and as soon as I got out, I got a job right away at BorgWarner, so I was 1986, June 2nd to be exact. So I started out as a floor inspector. My job was quality, called a floor inspector and inspection, and I would walk around from job to jobs with micrometers and some stuff to measure parts with, and to make sure everybody was within the specs of what they was running. So quality was a big thing back then. Most of our work was done to Ford, and they kind of lost touch with quality now. It's all about the wages. So.
Did you work in any other departments while you were there?
Oh yeah. You bounce around a lot when you're first hired out. It's all about seniority. I eventually got into gear cutting, blanking, and primary. Then I eventually got the tool cutter grinder, and that's a skilled trades occupation. So I was actually sharpening tools and picking up dull tools and sharpening tools and putting them back out on the floor for the people to use them. That's my main three. But my last 14 years, I believe, was a tool cutter grinder. I've actually got a journeyman's card for that. But apparently that's a dying occupation, so I really haven't used it since I've been out.
Okay. Which would you say was your favorite job?
Tool cutter grinder. It was a good job, fairly easy job. After seniority and after you get in some certain places, you found out where the easier jobs was, of course, and of course the bad jobs and the heavy jobs, no one wanted them, so they would go to the lowest seniority people. Matter of fact, I got carpal tunnel on both of my hands from my gear cutting days. I had to have operation on each of them, so it's some hard work, but there's some good work in there. It was easy work, but everybody says the unions are spoiled and all that, blah, 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 but you got to work. You just got to get in the right jobs, but that's seniority.
Okay. I'm going to back up a little bit. How did you get hired on over at the factory?
I just applied.
Yeah, that's it?
Yeah, right out of Marine Corps, I just sent out a bunch of resumes and applications. Plus, I had a friend there. My dad actually had a friend there, Jim Mansfield, and he actually pulled some strings, got me an interview, and they hired me right away. All I took with me was my DD-214 and my honorable discharge papers, and they hired me right on the spot, so.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, I got lucky. Like I said, my last 3 years in the Marine Corps was post office. I was going to get in the post office field, but they had a hiring freeze. And by the time they got around to hire me full-time at the post office. I already had 9 years seniority at BorgWarner, so I stayed there at BorgWarner.
And then how many years did you work there? I don't remember if you
At,
said how many years.
BorgWarner, 23 years.
Okay.
Yep.
Were you ever laid off?
Oh, yeah.
How often?
Oh, yeah. At first, you're laid off all the time. Yeah, I mean, that's just the way it was. The longest I probably laid off, maybe 5 or 6 months. It really wasn't too long. I was kind of lucky, hired in at the right time, but there was people laid off for a year, 2 years at a time, you know, so it's all about timing. Just like right now, the auto world's really been doing good. Like on the trains, I work for Norfolk Southern, and we move thousands of automobiles a day. And it's been going strong ever since I've been there. Usually, the auto world goes in a cycle. It goes up and then it crashes. It goes up and then it crashes. When it crashes, it's major layoffs. And we haven't really heard of any layoffs recently at the auto plants, but I think they're peaked. I think it's coming.
Well, out of curiosity, why do you think it goes in cycles like that?
It's just the economy. If the economy's doing good, the auto world's doing good. But when it starts crashing, the auto world's usually, manufacturing usually is the first one that's going to get hit, and they'll start laying off there. We got to have our factories. We got to have manufacturing. Our politicians don't think we do need manufacturing, but we have to have manufacturing. We need those jobs back because we can't live on $10 an hour. It's crazy.
That's fair. What would you say your working environment was like?
After working the railroad now, as much stress they put us under the railroad compared to the factory, the working environment at BorgWarner was great. It was good. We might have felt like they was pressuring us a little bit, but we had our breaks. We never had mandatory overtime. It was always optional. So, like I said, I would take my job back at the factory in a heartbeat. Right now, if they let me. But that ain't gonna happen.
Yeah, we've had some people mention that it could be dirty, but then it got very clean.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
a specific smell.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's areas, the old gray iron building. Hope somebody comes up with some pictures for you to show you the old and the new, because the gray irons, we used to be just a transmission shop, and that was a lot of dirty, heavy work. They phased it out, kind of moved it to Mexico, and we brought in transfer cases. Now, transfer cases is what you shift your gears with through the motors. You had to have a transfer case in order to have a stick shift. And that got to be easier work, and a lot of that was newer, CNC, automotive, and stuff like that. But the old transmission shop, you had a lot of heavy work. We called it the gray iron. Gray dust would be flying around all over the place, and you're breathing that. But, you know, who knows? I don't know if we dealt with lead being there or not. I haven't heard of any cases, but I'm sure that a lot of cancer and stuff like that come out of there. But that's typical of old factories with that kind of a dust flying around.
Did working at BorgWarner make you feel as if you were a part of a community?
Oh yeah. We had a lot of community events. When things was going good, we've actually had the company would have a BorgWarner picnics, BorgWarner golf tournaments. Everybody from the factory and families, whatever, get together. And even the union had their own bowling league, their own basketball league, golf league. The company actually had another leagues of all your sports, you know, and so we was all very, very active. It was a big loss, but I'm sure General Motors was a big loss too to the community. I'm sure they had good things going too outside of the plant. But just like now, bowling used to be a big thing here in Muncie with the factories, but all the factories are gone. We used to have like 6 bowling alleys, and now we're down to 3 and soon to be 2. So when the factories went, Muncie kind of went. So, you know, in a way it did.
Out of curiosity, did you ever see any like prejudice on the factory floor, like towards women or African Americans or like that?
Not really. You'll hear about it. And of course there's lawsuits always filed in there. But everybody you was treated by seniority. And that's the bottom line. Whatever your number was the bottom line. Hey, if I had seniority over this person, or she had seniority over me, and she wanted that job, she was going to get it. It didn't matter. To me, I didn't see any prejudice or racism or anything like that, and I don't care about all that. Seniority is the only thing we have. It's like at the railroad right now, seniority is all we have. And that's the way it should be. If you was hired before me, you deserve the jobs before me. So that question, I'm going to say no.
Okay, I was just curious because in prior interviews that Dr. Connolly had done in 2009, some of the women had mentioned that, and I think there were maybe some African Americans on there that might have mentioned it too. I don't remember. I'd have to go back.
Yeah, like I said, that's just my opinion. There was lawsuits, of course, discrimination, but you have those in every factory,
Okay.
every plant.
To go a little bit back to community, would you say that the company was a good place to work for families, and did it support and encourage family life?
Oh, yeah, it definitely, compared to what I'm going through right now at the railroad, yes, BorgWarner was part of the community, and they always had, even Christmas parties and stuff like that, so even the union's done that, so there was quite a bit of activity through, and that there's still a retirees thing from the BorgWarner that I think the seniors and the retirees get together. The retiree center on towards the west side of town, towards BorgWarner. I forgot what that address there is, but yeah, they was a big part of the community. Always something going on. BorgWarner or Local 287, so always something going on outside the plant.
I know when I asked Chelsea if she remembers any gatherings that she might have been to as a child, she says she doesn't really remember, but did you guys ever do any of those as a family?
We went to a couple of the Christmas parties, but they was young, and they don't even remember the vacations that, now there's 7 years difference between my son and my daughter, Perry and Chelsea, and they really don't even remember the vacations we went on. They don't even remember the Disney World trip I took them on in 2009 at the last year at the factory. And I can understand that with Perry because he was 7 years younger, but Chelsea don't even remember. I spent $5,000 on something they don't even remember. But we was there and we got pictures of it.
That's funny.
Yeah, we spent a whole week there, and like I said, they don't remember any of it.
What would you say was the best part about working for BorgWarner?
Well, we made good money, but the security. I mean, well, people might not. Well, you didn't have security because you was laid off. But after you're there for a while, you're secured and you're able to buy nice homes and nice cars and stuff like that if you done it right. But if you live like me, paycheck to paycheck, then it's always a struggle. And I still live like that. I'm 58 years old. I made way too much money to be broke.
I think we all feel like that sometimes.
But it is a good place to work for. Like I said, I'd take it back in a heartbeat. I think BorgWarner did bring an engineering section back to Noblesville. I think there's something in there in Noblesville now. A lot of that I think is political because of the Indianapolis 500 BorgWarner trophy, which is always a big thing. So, but to me, it was all about busting the unions when they approved NAFTA. That was pretty well the downfall of the union shops. It was independent. You gotta understand, BorgWarner was an independent union. We are not the big three. We don't have transfer rights. So we're stuck. We didn't have the right to go to work Kokomo or Anderson or wherever. So there was none of that.
So when it was done, it was
When
done.
it was done, it was done.
Okay. What aspects do you think were the most difficult?
Well, quality, of course, you have to maintain. That we was big time on quality. Matter of fact, at one time, we built the best quality in the world to make it a point of it. I can remember as an inspector, 12 pieces out of 1,000,000 pieces that we built were bad. And you carry that out, and that's 6 decimal places, I think, 10, 100,000. That's a pretty good quality ratio. But it was all about quality, and in the end, it wasn't about quality. But yeah, quality is definitely number one aspect out of the place. Have faith in whatever you build. Don't be, we want to buy it. We want to honor it. If I'm going to build it, yeah, I'll buy it because I know what I got into it. And I worked all the overtime they throwed at me. I work. That's all I done. We worked a lot of overtime.
Sounds like you take a lot of pride in your work.
Yeah. I hardly never mark off sick or call in, and when I do something, I want to do it right. So hopefully that way, if I get in trouble, they'll keep me. Hey, you got a good work record. So who knows?
Were you involved in the union? I know you kind of
Yes.
did a little bit.
Yeah, I was on the executive board for a while, as a guide, but that's got into politics, probably got in a little bit over my head, because the unions is a great thing, but it could also be a bad thing, because what I mean by that, there are people who don't want to work. There are people who think they can call in, miss work 100 days a year and still have the right to work with no medical cause or anything. And you can't get rid of those people in the UAW shop. So I voiced my opinion about that, and that would frown, the other big shots would frown on me. Hey, you can't be doing that. You can't be doing that. Well, so that's the big problem by trying to get involved with politics, period. That's just the way it is. My belief is if you don't want to work and you don't want to show up, then you need to be fired. But as a union rep, you can't be saying that, because you're supposed to represent this person, he or she, if they got fired. So if you ain't got a good reason why you was fired, then that's tough luck on you. So I would stay out of politics again. I wouldn't get involved with the politics anymore. But somebody's got to do it.
Right.
So.
Did you take part in any of the union activities like strikes and all of that?
Oh yeah. Everybody. That's the good thing. We had leverage back then, but when the signing of NAFTA, all the leverage was lost. Of course, we had to go on strike. You didn't dare cross the picket line. And even before I was hired, they had a lot of strikes. John Fenimore days, bad, nasty strikes. So, and that gave unions a bad rep too. Because the civilians, people, I call them civilians, but those union people, they're greedy. They want everything for free. Well, yeah, we want time off, we want vacation, you want benefits. That comes with anything. Everybody should have that at every job. It doesn't work like that. But when they signed NAFTA, and now they got plants in Mexico and China, we lost all of our leverage. So we could, if you walk out, okay, you walk out, we'll see you. Your job's going to Mexico tomorrow. And even worse, when they finally say, okay, we're closing the plant, we had to train these foreign country people, train them on certain jobs there. So they'd bring them in, hey, I got to train you to take my job, but couldn't play games because there was a severance package in there. So if we blew that, we wasn't getting any severance money in the end. So we had to train them and just go out, and nothing we can do about it. So it is what it is.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned that BorgWarner was very active within the Muncie community. So did you guys ever do anything like to help out the Muncie community? Like you as an individual specifically, did you go like volunteer for, say, blood drives and all that?
Yeah, we, people, blood drives is a big thing. And even inside the plant, they would allow, hey, we got blood drive people here. And of course, hanging out the local Union Hall, Local 287 Springwater Park, we'd always have, like I said, had our picnics, had our Christmas parties, and and reach out, especially to the retirees. And in wintertime, if stuff got really bad, we'd take groceries and stuff out to people's houses and stuff like that. If that was my time, I know they had to deal with the blizzard of '78 and all that. But that was I wasn't working there yet. But BorgWarner and Local 287 was at one time actually worked together instead of working against each other like it was at the end. At the end, it was it was, eye for eye and whatever, everybody hated each other, so.
Actually, that kind of goes into one of the questions here. So I've heard that there was a shift from hiring management from within Muncie to bringing them from out of town. And how did you feel about that? Because that seems.
Yeah, when your corporations start bringing in out-of-towners to work, they're doing that for a reason, and that's to shut you down or outsource or start firing people. Because they used to have a lot of management people right from our community that they would hire, and that way everybody trusted them. But when you started getting people in like Doug Owenby and whatever, the sad thing about BorgWarner, we created a lot of millionaires through the company, through management, with their stock options. And the more they outsourced this, the more stock options the big bosses was getting. And they was getting thousands of shares, and BorgWarner stock went up to over $100 a couple times, split at least 2 times, maybe 3 times that I know of. So the people who were smart and saved their money and had a good 401k, you made money. You made money if you were smart and did it right, because BorgWarner, it was a good company to have your money into, especially when they was getting rid of us, because they knew that was going to get rid of their biggest thing, get rid of the union. The union makes too much money. When I went out, I was making $24 an hour, and I had a lot of overtime.
Probably adds up. Last question on your work life. So did you spend time with your coworkers outside of the factory?
Oh yeah, probably too much.
Yeah?
I had a lot of friends, bowling,
Yeah.
golfing, bar life, partying, whatever.
Yeah. So you had a lot of friends?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
we always, about everybody, just about everybody got along. Of course, you have a few always upset, alcohol's involved, there's always upset, but overall, we all worked together, hung out together, and bowling and golfing was huge back then. Big golf leagues, big bowling tournaments, and we hang out. We got carried away a lot, but we had good times, a lot of memories, no doubt about it. A lot of memories, a lot of friends. Now I don't even see anybody. My job, I don't bowl anymore, I hardly don't golf anymore, so I feel like the only time I have a reunion is when I go to Walmart. They don't run into everybody at Walmart. I see more people there than I do family members, so.
I think a lot of people have said that.
Yeah. So that's about the only time I run across anybody. A lot of people moved out of town, moved away, had to. And myself, I got to drive 74 miles just to go to work. I choose to stay in Muncie because it is home. And my parents are here, my son, my daughter's here. 2 weddings this year, both of them are getting married this year. One April 26th, my son's getting married, and October 19th is my daughter's getting married. So this is a big year for us. It's gonna be a big broke year.
Do you want to take a little bit of a break?
I'm fine, I'm good.
We'll continue on to when the factory closed then.
Oh, we was pissed.
Yeah.
Just to put it frankly, we was upset, but we knew it was coming. The writing was on the wall. My dad even told me like 5 years before it was going to happen, you get prepared, because they're going to close it down. They're going to close it down, your union shop, and that's what happened. Oh yeah, and like I said, of course we wanted to strike, walk out, but then, they dangling that severance package and everything in front of us and all it is. And the union represented the last 100 seniority people was there, which they all had like 30 years or more. So the union was just concentrating on those 100 people, especially the international. They sold us out. I'll say it right on record. They sold us out. UAW International are crooks. They're a bunch of politicians. One guy said we was worth $100 million on our severance package. We turned out and we got $30 million, so we wasn't even close to what they said we was. But so they was worried about the last 100 guys, even though they was guaranteed a retirement, and they just kind of forgot about the rest of us. So it was bitter, we was upset, but what could we do? I mean, if we done anything stupid, start tearing their parts up or build parts bad on purpose, then we're gonna lose our severance pay. So there wasn't nothing we could do. Hands was tied, and you just go in and work, make as much money as you can, work all the overtime you can, and that's what I did. I worked all the overtime I could, so it was bad, but terrible attitudes.
How would you say the closing affected the community?
You can, by recreation never survived in Muncie. Bowling centers are closing, golf centers are closing in the surrounding area. I mean, we would branch out to Eaton, Albany, Newcastle, and places like that just to go do our golf tournaments with company and union, So there's no doubt there was lost revenue from General Motors and BorgWarner and Muncie. No doubt. Matter of fact, look at the high schools. You're down one high school now instead of 3. So right there shows you a lot of people moved away, had to find another job. So, yeah, it was a big loss.
How many people would you say have moved away that you've known?
Oh, probably a couple hundred at least. If I had any sense, I'd be out of here too instead of driving 74 miles one way to work. It's craziness, but I choose to do so, and a few of us are too. And a lot of the people too was older than me and are now eligible for Social Security and stuff like that too. So I still got a ways for that. I'll be 59 in May. So, but yeah, it hurt the community. I feel that all that's left in Muncie is Ball State and the hospital and 2 Walmarts. Look at what's happening at the mall right now. That's going to be, those places are going to be the next vacant buildings because everybody's shopping online and there's not that many people here. I mean, Muncie can't survive on Ball State students' credit cards. So.
Sure. I know you've touched on this a little bit, but immediately after it closed, how did it affect you and your family's life?
Well, it hurt, but I was really lucky. Well, first of all, I chose to go back to school, so I went to Ivy Tech. I only wished I had that attitude at age 49 instead of age 19, because I actually made straight A's this time around. When I was 19, went to Ball State, but I got in that Partyland USA and didn't want to show up for classes, and so plus I lost a few buddies in car accidents that actually got killed, so I dropped out of Ball State and joined the Marine Corps. And 7 years of Marine Corps, and that's just that circle I went into. Then I'm back, and that's where BorgWarner came in. So, and right after I graduated Ivy Tech, went there about 4 semesters, I believe. I studied management, business management, and I got lucky because as soon as my last semester I started sending out resumes. I got hired at Norfolk Southern Railroad, so I got lucky. Now the thing is, when we got our severance checks, they did not give it to us in one lump sum. They broke it down monthly, and then we got unemployment on top of that. So then my school was paid on top of that. So I just kind of skated for a year and a half at school, but I did good. I had the right attitude at school, so that was a big thing. I wished I would have done that when I was younger and went for the 4 years, but can't look back. Too late now, I'm too old.
Is that something that you stress to your kids?
Yeah, I told them they really should go to school. My daughter went for a little bit, but she dropped out. Now she's stuck with $9,000 debt, student loan. But now she's going back and taking some courses and studying again. My son, he said, well, I don't want to get stuck with that debt, because I told him, if you go, I'll pay for it. If you don't, that's fine. But if you start and you quit, then it's on you. So my son didn't want any part of that, so he decided not to go. He works for an animal shelter. He's one of those that drives around one of them little white trucks picking up stray animals and stuff, so that's what he does. And his soon-to-be wife, she's a veterinarian. So, and then my daughter is marrying a guy, I think he works for a company here in Muncie. I think he goes around and when people dig, he shows them where the lines are so they don't dig into them. So at least they're all four working and not living in a home. And they said they're not going to have kids though. My wife's begging for grandkids. So we watch everybody else's kids.
That's a whole nother story.
Yeah, at least we can spoil them and send them back anyway, so.
Are you happy that they're not working in factories? Would you have been okay with that?
Yeah, that's fine. There ain't no factories to work in unless you go Kokomo or something like that. So they chose their own world. I tried to get my son to join the military, but he didn't want anything to do with that. So they chose what they want to do, and they stay out of trouble. They're drug free, and they might drink occasionally. So they are nowhere quite wild as I used to be back in my day. So but that's probably half the reason why I'm broke. I drank, I golf, I hunt, I bowl. One big cycle, it just spin, spin, spin. Go on vacations every year, go to Vegas. I actually was a professional bowler for 5 years while I was at the factory too, so did a lot of bowling. And I traveled almost every state and 4 different countries just to bowl, so.
Wow.
I actually bowled for the Marine Corps, believe it or not.
So if I look through the old BorgWarner loose letters, I'm gonna see you with the bowling leagues, right?
Yeah, the local 287 Union leagues stuff. I never bowled in the BorgWarner league itself. I subbed, but I was always in the local 287 bowling league, golf league. Now I golfed the BorgWarner league, of course, and the tournaments and stuff like that. So yeah, there's a lot of memories out there to bowling and golfing. And then of course they have basketball teams and stuff like and softball teams too. So there's always something going on. There is always a BorgWarner, or local 287 somewhere in Muncie. You always see it.
So now that it's been 10 years since the factory closed, I feel like this is something you definitely still reflect on.
Oh yeah, it's in my blood. It's in my life, and every day I wish I was back. You know, it'd have been worth it, and we all knew it. You know, we should have took a pay cut, but even if we'd have took a $5 an hour pay cut or whatever, as long as we remained union, they weren't going to keep us open. They was out to bust the unions, and that's what it was all about. But yes, I look back on it every day. It's kind of just like being in the Marine Corps. We have a reunion we started a few years ago. Every 2 years we go to a military reunion. So, but I haven't done any BorgWarner reunions yet. I remember Chelsea telling me about the one that was at the library not too long ago. How many people showed up for that?
Oh, I want to say around 25-ish.
Yeah. That sounds like our class reunion.
Yeah,
You know, if you get
25-ish.
20, 30 people together, there used to be 5,000 employees at one time, but a lot of those are older people, and they're now deceased too, so that's a lot of it.
And I kind of wonder how many of those also went out of Muncie.
Out of town.
5,000 too. So.
Yeah.
So you've already kind of answered where you don't really talk to a lot of them anymore, like just contact them.
No, I have, of course, a few good friends on Facebook. Facebook is a good thing. It keeps me in touch with a few of my friends from BorgWarner, my military people. Of course, I have a few phone numbers from some of my friends from BorgWarner, but maybe a text here or there. But no, we really don't hang out with anybody.
Okay. I'm gonna move on to the community now. So when it was open, do you think that Muncie valued BorgWarner while it was here?
Oh yeah, they definitely did that. I mean, they gave them tax breaks, tax incentives to keep the plant open. And I can remember one of the big things was at the end, our union thought we was going to get one more final blow in, so our president went to downtown to one of the tax meetings. Hey, you need to rescind this. Then the city ended up sticking BorgWarner with like $180,000 tax bill, and so. But yeah, there's always a value. There will always be a value. There will always be no one's ever going to forget BorgWarner in Muncie. Matter of fact, it goes back even before I was born. The old transmissions and the first cars. BorgWarner was one of the first companies to ever invent the transmission. And they did invent the first 6-speed transmission at our plant. So you're talking about T5 models and stuff like that, where the transmissions was big time. So a lot of people Yeah, BorgWarner will always reflect, BorgWarner, Local 287, General Motors. I don't know what the General Motors local number was, but they was pretty big too.
Okay. What do you think about the economic future of Muncie?
It's all about Ball State University. That's all it is. Of course, Ball State has taken over all the schooling systems, you know that by now. And the hospital, I mean, what else really is there in Muncie? Manufacturing is shoved in a little corner there, and those jobs, with Progress Rails, I guess is a little better, but they're non-union. Muncie shifted from pro-union to anti-union. Don't want union shops. And that's people, you got to understand, you got to have some type of representation, these companies you work for, because if you don't, if you get sick, they're going to get rid of you. If you get pregnant, they're going to get rid of you. If you get old, they're going to get rid of you. Who's going to defend you? You go get a lawyer, take it to court, you know, so something that, you know, you always got that hanging over your head.
Mm-hmm. I know you kind of mentioned some of the economic and the population impacts. Are there any other impacts that you see in Muncie that you can think of?
No, except our roads are terrible. You can tell we've lost the tax revenue from the loss of our manufacturing in Muncie. And so but you know, and of course the closing of the bowling alleys and the closing of a couple golf courses in the surrounding area. So there's lost revenue, but I know whatever Ball State does, I know some of those jobs are good paying jobs, and of course the hospital probably are good paying jobs, but they can't support the whole community, you know.
So you definitely feel things have gotten worse?
Oh yeah, no doubt in my mind things are worse. Well, and then of course you want to look at drugs. You hear it on the news that Muncie is #1 meth capital of Indiana, you know, so there's a lot of unemployment in Muncie, so a lot of drug use, a lot of depression, and you see it. You see it on the streets every day, or hear about it.
Mm-hmm. Have you heard of the new development plans for the old BorgWarner site?
No, one time, you know, they apparently was sold, and it's going to be a dog food manufacturing. Now I'm here, they'll probably build senior citizens or something on it. But no, I have not heard of any plans.
Yeah, they're recently, I want to say it was near the end of last year, the beginning of this year, they announced that a company called Zinc National is going to come in, and that they're going to build a small plant. It's not going to be as big, and they're going to use some sort of raw material to make things for like IT computers and that sort of thing. So
Yeah.
it's going to be like a raw product.
Right, yeah, I have not heard anything
Yeah.
like that. I figured they would just build more houses like I don't know if you've been down 8th Street, the old General Motors plant, they built housings on it.
Mm-hmm.
So at least it's not just an empty parking lot, but they did do something with the community. And I'm sure it's government assisted housing, but better than being in an empty parking lot, so. We was wondering, you also hear in the news too that Muncie was going to buy the old BorgWarner property, but that's the last I've heard about BorgWarner.
Mm-hmm. What do you, well, if the Zinc National goes through, which I hear it is, I think it's pretty sad. What do you think about that then? Because it kind of sounds like you would rather those old plants be turned into manufacturing areas.
Yeah, oh yeah, I mean, that's always good if you're going to bring in jobs and bring in a place and put people to work. I just hope they're good paying jobs and good benefits and not minimum wage jobs and stuff like that, you know, so. But anytime you can bring plants in, that would be great, you know, so I'm all for that.
Yeah. Now, when you go by the old plant, how does it make you feel?
Empty, lost, can't believe it, disbelief. They still got, there's like 1 or 2 buildings kind of way back in the back. The old smokestack, it's gone. And I just, you know, it's, man, all the hours, you know, I'm there at the factory more than I was at home, you know, because I worked a lot of 12-hour days, even 16-hour days. So a lot of my life right there, blood, sweat, tears. You know, 2 operations, been sewed up a couple times, stitches with cuts, you know, so there's a lot of people, well, not a lot of people, but several people missing fingers, you know, walking around missing a couple fingers because you got fingers cut off all the time.
It's dangerous.
We had one death, to my knowledge, so it was a safe job, but still, yes, you could get hurt, but that's pretty well anywhere.
All right, well, that's all that I have. Did you have anything you wanted to add?
No, I miss everybody I worked with. We had good people. Of course, I miss all of our events, and I miss having a life. At least I had a set schedule, 7:30 to 3:30. I don't have that now. I don't have any kind of hours at the railroad. You're on call 24/7, so even though I worked everything they throwed at me at the BorgWarner, but I didn't have to work it. And I had my vacations whenever I wanted, so. I just miss everybody, so hi everybody. So, but yeah, it was a good place to work for. I could have been retired by now. I could have retired in 2016, and I wouldn't have been able to retire anyway. At this age where I'm at right now, I can't see me retiring because it's already, it drives me crazy if I'm home 24/7. So I got to be doing something. Even when I retire to railroad, I'll find a job somewhere. As long as I'm healthy and able, I'll be working somewhere until I die. So.
Do you think you'll be able to retire from the railroad anytime soon?
I hope. I can't retire until 62. So, but they can fire you on the spot out there. It's so easy to get fired, even though we're union. But they can get rid of you, and which that's a good thing. If you're not a very good employee, if you don't want to work and you can't get to work, I don't care where you're at, you don't need to be working. If you got health issues, that's a different ball game. Family leave, stuff like that. But
it sounds like unions have changed a lot over the years.
well, yes, they had to. They're forced to, because like I said, now these corporations can shift overseas or over the border in a heartbeat, and most of them are. So Ross Perot warned us what was going to happen. He's probably before your time, or you was just a kid.
Him. Actually, I'm older than your daughter.
Yeah, are you older than Chelsea?
Yeah, I'm 30. I'll be 36 this month.
Okay. Wow, you're 10 years older than her. Where'd you go to school?
Oh, way down in Greensburg, about halfway between Indy and Muncie.
Yeah. Matter of fact, I take trains from Fort Wayne to Cincinnati.
Okay.
Yeah, and we bring a train, stay in a hotel, and bring a train back. But yeah, I definitely miss our community, miss the people, miss our bowling leagues, miss our golfing outings. So we all have aged and gotten older and wiser, and everybody's in their own little world now, so that's all we can do.
All right, well, thank you so much.
Thank you.